Welcome to Believe in Chargers with the great Lorenzo Neal, Matt Money Smith here. A big thanks to our friends over at FanDuel for helping us put this thing together and keep it rolling. Love doing it. Appreciate them. And Lo, I'm just going to start with this. I was out at Chargers practice phase 2, not practice, phase 2 voluntary workouts the other day. Was up for a couple different press conferences. They made the coordinators available, and I'll ask you, because I try to check my emotions, and having to call the games, I get it, man, I'm going to have a Chargers slant, but I try to keep it even. I can tell that there's a bounce in the step, man. I've been to enough of these. This is my 10th one now that I'm going to, and it looks like there is a bounce in the step of these guys, that there is, I don't know if I want to call it palpable, but there's definitely some excitement that you can feel about who's on the field, about who these coaches are, and about what these guys think this could look like this year.
Oh, without a doubt. When something's special, you watch these Chargers and just watch the guys that they bring in. I mean, for instance, you come to the Chargers and we win 4 games, and then just something different when you go to OTAs and you starting to see guys develop, and you kind of know where you were at the year before, and you're like, okay, you look around the guys, you're like, man, we're better. Then you win 13 games, you're like, okay, we know we have the team to do something special. So OTAs, guys are the quarterbacks, defensive linemen, guys are kind of in tune. Hey guys, let's go. Here we go, work day. And you start to see guys just bounce, guys starting to understand, hey, man, we got a chance to do something special. So you always like that when a mature team, and let's face it, this isn't some young team now. This team's got some veteran guys, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. It's not like, okay, 2 and 3. This is not the same team 2 or 3 years ago. It's a lot more mature, and it's guys that see now, okay, we played enough, we won enough. We've been in playoffs. We haven't gotten deep. We got to take the next step. So I think I know it starts with OTAs.
Yeah, and I think Mike McDaniel brought it up, and just for people that might not be paying that close of attention, look, it's May, it's April, it's May. There's not a lot, unless you're a real junkie, which you probably are if you're watching us. Although I do get a lot of screenshots from bars across the Southland. So thanks to our friends that are throwing it on TV a lot, especially FanDuel. But I know it wasn't lip service to make an excuse for Justin not being at phase 2. I think he was out with his lady, Maddie Beer, who was kicking off her European tour, so he was not out there on Monday. But Mike McDaniel said it when he was in his presser, and in talking to some people, that, and who knows, maybe they know I'm going to share this, so they're planting it and knowing that I'm going to say it, to make an excuse for him not being there. But that McDaniel was sincere in him saying, look, I kind of laid all this stuff out that I had hoped he was going to pick up in the first month, maybe before we get to June and veteran camp and OTAs and things like that, or mini camp. And the guy picked it up in 3 days. And they said, really, he picked it up in a day. Like the footwork stuff that he was looking for, some of the concepts that he was trying to work on that Herbert has not had in his career. And I think, that's sort of the stuff that and if you didn't see it, if you go to Chargers.com, the Mike McDaniel presser is over 30 minutes. He's so fun to listen to, and just what a football junkie he is, and how many ideas he has, and how many things he shares about what he's working on in it. When you're talking about Brock Purdy and Tua and Hoyer, these guys aren't 6'6", 260 pounds with cannons for arms. It's going to look different. Their footwork's going to look different. And that's kind of what McDaniel was sharing with us, that, he watched every single attempt, every single drop back, every play that Justin Herbert has made, and he recognized some trends, and he dug into them, and it was sub 2.4. And if he gets that ball out in sub 2.4, he's the best quarterback in the league. Like the numbers say he's the best quarterback in the league. It's 77% completion. The success percentage rate is off the charts. The explosives are there. And he kind of said that's what we had to dig into. Like, hey, you kind of, and it's weird to do it because of how talented he is, but we got to change footwork. We got to get your feet synced up with your eyes, with your arm, and what the play's calling for, because, kind of the way he shared it was, Herbert can hold on to it longer because he can throw it harder, and because he is incredibly, and so he needed to get him out of that rhythm. And I think anyone that's ever done something a certain way for a long time and had those tools, and now someone wants to tear that apart and build it back up. I think the easiest thing to compare it to, Lo, is a golf swing. If you ever take a lesson and all of a sudden all the stuff you've been doing gets pulled apart, man, it's ugly. It is, and you're like, what am I doing? This doesn't feel right. And if you stick with it, it works. But I know that's a long way for me to say, like, the excitement around what Justin Herbert and Mike McDaniel are going to do this year, it is off the charts, kind of the way that they feel about this partnership and what they think it can look like. And it is that the expectations are as high as anything could possibly be put on any player in the league. That is how they feel about how this thing can go.
And I know everyone talks about the pressures on, Justin Herbert and all. A lot of pressures on Mike McDaniel's because, like you alluded to, it brought Purdy, no disrespect, and Tua is on the line, no disrespect, but they're not close to Justin Herbert. No. They're not close to his athletic ability, not close to his big arm, like you said. They don't have the vision that he has. I'm not going to say they don't have the IQ, but they don't have, he's a bigger man. So, Justin can get away with a lot of those things of saying, I can hold on to the ball because I know my rock, they can hold on to it. They can't hold on to it as long as Justin, because he has the arm strength to catch up with their fastball. So Coach McDaniels is saying, hey, look, if I can get him to these spots and I can get him to trust this and let it go when it's supposed to, get the feet set, be ready to throw, be in a position that he's loaded, compact, ready to unload, and let the ball go with that trajectory, it's even going to improve that much more. That's the thing that people have to realize. When McDaniel's saying these things, and when you think about what he's pulling out, he's like, look, this guy's doing exceptional already. Now with my system, the little nuances of my system, if he's efficient in this, you're going to see his game even take it to the next level. So you got to be excited about that. And that's why you see McDaniel's like, look, this guy's going to be fine. He can take a day off. I just want when he comes back, it's about business. It's about working. It's about getting the fundamentals, because he already said the IQ, learning the system is not the problem. He said, okay, now let's get the body to compact. So you're not, boom, now you're not rushing. Now you hold on to the ball too long. So it's about the timing, because this offense is going to make you cover every blade of grass. And that's where excitement is too in OTAs, because the defensive guys see, man, what are they doing? Wow, we got to catch up with you guys. And, in any quarterback, not any quarterback, but a lot of average quarterbacks can look good in this system if you have a running game.
Yeah, and I would say, and look, things can happen and whatever. Maybe Amari and Hampton pops and he gets, the lion's share of the offense, and it's not as big of a season for Justin Herbert. I don't think we'd have any problem with that. But I just look at it, and I'm looking at FanDuel right now, and I think that word's getting out. It feels like that word's getting out on Herbert, because right now it's Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Drake May, Joe Burrow, and then Herbert's next, ahead of Patrick Mahomes in MVP odds. So I think word's starting to get out amongst, because the Kyle Shanahan tree, and I think really less than Kyle, it's more the Sean McVay tree, because Sean's so good with the media. Kyle's still a little standoffish and a little prickly with the media, whereas Sean has just mastered that, and he's so good at sharing ideas and excitement around what he's doing. And I think McDaniel is kind of part of that. And so I do think he has some relationships inside the media that's starting to kind of let some of this stuff leak about how excited he is about all the quarterbacks that he's had to work with, and how having Justin Herbert's different. And I think the best line, and again, it's at plus 1,100. I'd be getting some of that. And I'd be getting some Justin Herbert on my fantasy team action when it's time to do those drafts. When Josh and Lamar and Patrick and those guys are going off early, if Herbert's sitting there staring at you, I would not be surprised if he ends up with the best numbers of all of them when the season's over, of how excited these guys are and how excited they are about the weapons. But I think the best comparison I can make, and I think it's the swing that Kyle Shanahan tried to take with Trey Lance, right? It's like, yeah, I can do it with Brian Hoyer, and I can do it with Brock Purdy. But, man, if I can do it with Trey Lance, who's 6'5" and 220 and runs a 4.5 40, and, man, can this thing really take off? And that's why you trade all that draft capital, because of the next level you think you can take it to. And I think about Sean McVay and trading a quarterback that took him to the Super Bowl and first-round picks to the Lions for Matthew Stafford, and just look how different it is with a guy like Stafford with that kind of arm, what McVay can do with this offense with a quarterback like that. And I think that's kind of the thing that we're looking at. If Matthew Stafford can do it after having neck and back and all these sort of lost seasons in Detroit, and now he's the league MVP at 36, imagine what Herbert at 27 could look like with Mike McDaniel.
Oh, he's going to look amazing, and I think people are going to catch wind of that right away. And I think you look at just because McDaniel, his tree, and what he's done as an OC, it's interesting because you look at McDaniel. I think he's probably saying, okay, guess what? I get to do something that Shanny couldn't do or didn't have enough time to do, and I get to do it on my own time, and that's mentor Trey Lance. Here's a guy that was in that offense, that understands this offense, just couldn't grasp it. So now you have McDaniels, who is the mastermind at teaching, seeing what he did for Tua. So I think I think it's huge for Herbert, of course, because Herbert's going to be the guy on the field 98% of the time, barring injuries. He's a guy that can lead this team to a Super Bowl. That could happen possibly this year. But also, if you think about just the other guys, about the development of Trey, if something were to happen to him with this offense, now you have a guy that's comfortable in this offense, but the master to teach this offense to get others ready to play as effective as well.
What do you remember, Lo, when you were playing? And you know a few fight songs. You went to a couple different stops. Do you remember certain offensive coordinators or certain offenses or playing with certain quarterbacks or having other guys around you this early in the season when you're out there at voluntary workouts, just kind of getting you excited? Different ways that, like, I don't know, can you share there were certain guys that maybe knew how to use you better than others that got you excited, and kind of how that all works for players when they show up and there's somebody new there, or when you're a new guy coming into a new place?
Without a doubt, man, you got to realize when you have a new OC. I remember I was in New Orleans, and it was Carl, and Carl just wanted to go ace and one back. I'd be furious. I'm like, get me on the field, and it was interesting. And that's when I was like, okay, forget it. I'm gonna take somebody's spot running the ball. And had some nice runs and had a great little career starting off till I broke my ankle. But so Carl wasn't the guy that I just was in love with. I think when he went to Tampa Bay, the Jets, when you go to the Jets, the big tuna, it's two backs. We're going to go downhill. We're going to run ISO. We're going to run power. I'm those old school type of coach. Love Tony Dungy. Shoot, you go out there and you're like, okay, what are we doing? Go to OTAs, and all of a sudden, Tony Dungy say, I want to see if we can get Mike and Lorenzo on the field. And there's the Rhino backfield. Me and Mike Allstott, 500 pounds coming at you downhill. And then he's like, well, how do we do it with low and Ward done? Let's call that backfield Pony. So we had Rhino backfield and Pony. So hell yeah, I got it. You got excited that you got a backfield kind of named after you. You're playing with two great guys behind you. And you're like, okay, they expect me to get these guys beyond the line of scrimmage. They expect me when I'm here to do my thing. So absolutely practice. You're like, man, I want to show them that I can do it in OTAs, training camp, mini camp. So you can be like, man, these coaches, because they don't forget. They watch those plays and they watch the way you fit, thump, do the things you do. So absolutely, coaches get you fired up.
Yeah, they had I was out there on Friday or Monday. Today's Wednesday when we're recording this. I was out there on Monday, and it was kind of wild to watch, Mike McDaniel, who's in his joggers, pulled up mid-calf, and his bright yellow shoes. You can't miss him, man, out there bouncing around. And some of the things he was doing and some of the enthusiasm that he has. There was play where they were running either a fullback or a tight end into the flat. So just imagine, got quarterback shotgun, tight end comes in motion, sets up into the flat, wide receiver is working outside to pick up the corner on a block. So wide receiver's blocking, tight end's taking that, I guess if you want to call it a screen pass. I don't know what the O-line's doing to whatever that route is, though, but he's basically just sitting, to the left of the quarterback. And, the wide receivers are getting their blocks in, and, and all of a sudden, here comes, I think it was Charlie Kolar that comes, in his motion, setting up to get the pass. And coach has got the big pad, and here's Big Q, and he pops this guy, man, and he popped him good. It's just kind of, they were sort of just running, just kind of, it's, hey, yeah, we're just kind of install. We're just kind of showing you how this thing works. And he pops this guy, and you could hear from the other side of the field, Mike McDaniel screamed just, yeah, Q, and you could just kind of see everybody get a little like mount, like, oh yeah, here we go, we got a little practice going now, and it's just sort of those moments that I think give you a glimpse into the enthusiasm of, it's not a guy catching a 60-yard bomb in stride. No, it's this simple play that McDaniel knows, if I can set this up right and we can block it right, this is a, a third and 7 on a critical late down, a late game series. And if this works, you could see that that's kind of at least that was sort of what my interpretation was, that it was that sort of vision, and how excited he got with that pop of the block from Q, taking that bit of responsibility seriously. And just sticking with Q-Lo, what Coach McDaniel said from the lectern was, I mean, we said this when they picked up his option, right? Ortiz and Harbaugh could have distanced themselves from him. Not my pick. We'll figure it out. And Mike McDaniel could have done that in his initial presser. And then he doubled down on Friday when he said there is no reason why every single receiver in that room cannot have the best year of their career. That's how much I believe in this system and how it fits them and what I think they're capable of. And that means Ladd getting over 1,200 yards. That means Q getting over 800 yards and 8 touchdowns. And then he went on to compare Q, it ain't some knucklehead like me saying it, as Mike McDaniel, that has worked with some of the best receivers that had the vision to put Debo into the way, to use Debo the way he was used in San Francisco. Well, that's the guy we're talking about. And he talked about 2 receivers he worked with. He's like, when I watch Q, I think about the ways we can use him. I think that it's absolutely possible that he could have a Julio or Andre type of year. And he's talking about Houston, Andre Johnson, and Atlanta, Julio Jones.
Julio and Andre Johnson?
Right. So, and that's out of his mouth. That's coming out of his mouth. So if you're going to do that in a presser, and again, we know what Coach Harbaugh did with Q when he got hired, right? And he immediately built him up coming off that really disappointing rookie year. And all he said was, believe in him. Absolutely think he's great. Guy went out and got 700 yards and 8 touchdowns, and then he did it again. And maybe that's sort of just how because I would imagine you experience this low, that coaches maybe talk to you differently than other players, and they know the best way to motivate. And some people positive, some people you got to get on them, and that's the best way. So maybe that's just how Q operates. But whatever the case, you don't want to put that out there if you don't think you can at least get him, into the realm of a 1,000 yard, or double-digit touchdown season.
I think he's going to do it, because when you heard Harbaugh defending him, it was like, hey, look, I believe in Q. Q's going to get better. We're going to work with him. He was high on the draft board. We're going to stay with him. We believe in him. It wasn't It didn't say Andre Johnson. It didn't say Julio. Didn't make those type of statements. It was just, we believe in him. We're going to work with him. He's our guy. It was just moral support. Now, when you have another coach, an offensive coordinator, McDaniel's, and knows the type of offense that he runs, knows that you got to cover every blade of grass, when he makes an accusation or make a statement like that, that's some tall cotton, because he sees what Q, and he's watching this guy in film. He's watching every route, and he's saying, I see something in this guy. When you talk about that block, that's very crucial. When your motion across is K4, K5, fullback in the flat, that receiver come down, tight end dragging, going out into picking the guy. So now he's rubbing it. So that now the guy's either got a bubble over the top to try to catch that flat defender, but then Q's coming there and smacking that guy. Now that receiver, that corner, can't get out there to make that tackle either. So now if it's clear sailing and you get that, you can turn the corner, turn a 3-yard play into a 20, 30-yard play. But when you hear coach saying, yeah, Q, because he's saying, hey, look, let's etch that in your mind. Now you know what I'm expecting. Just where you hit that bag, I'm expecting that on game day. I'm expecting that when we run this play, because now we know that you are the body. You're the guy that can do it. So those are those plays that you say, okay, attaboy, give that attaboy moment. You're going to play it in film. You watch it a couple times in the film room, but he's going to say, look, we're going to need this play. We're going to use this. This is going to be very important. So you want guys to say, okay, this is a play. Here it is. You're going to remember that. Yeah, Q. Then when they're going to call that play, that's what they're going to, yeah, Q, because it's ingrained in your mind. Certain plays you put more emphasis on. Guys have to know that they have to do their job in order for it to have success. So it's great that Mike McDaniel's is in that building, because you see this bounce in the step, because the last couple of years, this offense, let's face it, it hasn't lived up to what expectations. It's had a lot of talent. Of course, a lot of injuries has been there, but now you have a guy that is a offense guru far as spreading the ball around. Not saying that our other coordinator wasn't, but he's not a high power offense. You have now turned this into a high power offense, and guys can't wait to get busy learning and getting this thing done.
Yeah, it was fun watching the different drills they were doing, and again, look, as much as excited as I am to see what Q's going to be able to do, to me it's Ladd. It's going to be the year of Ladd. Just watching the route combos, the way he moves, the way that McDaniel wants to try to find open space, and then what Ladd can do with open space. It's just such a perfect match between these two. And it was interesting because Ladd was kind of doing things on his own, right? It was almost, again, this is all just me trying to interpret things, and it's probably all wrong, but just sort of what my opinion of what I was watching was, Ladd's kind of doing things, and then there are these sort of matchups. Like Trey and Q were doing stuff right next to each other. They were running 20 yards, like 20-yard sprints, and it was like a competition, who can get to 20 yards faster. And it was Brennan Thompson and Darius Davis. So you got your two speedsters, your little wide receivers. Now you got your two big guys, Q and Trey. And there was like this sort of sense of competition between these similar players with similar skill sets. And then there was Ladd. And man, when you watch Ladd run these routes, I mean, Lo, it's not like anything else. It's just like watching, again, or you know what, I won't use the golf analogy. It's like watching basketball warm-ups. And every now and then you'll find that guy that's just got that stroke, and it's perfectly, the repetition of it, it looks exactly the same every time, and there's a reason why that ball's going in every single time he takes a shot from that spot, or she. And that is what it looks like with Ladd. It is so different looking than anyone. It's almost not fair to the other receivers. Whoever's got to follow him, when you just look at the difference with what it looks like from Ladd to the next guy.
Can't guard him.
You can't.
It's so weird because I think Ladd runs routes. Henry Eller just so smooth because he runs at different speeds. They think they got him, and all of a sudden Ladd just boom, and he's not fast, and then bam, he'll come out of it. He just starts setting one way. He'll get the guy defender, get over his feet, and when it overcommits, then he snaps out. You watch Ladd, just the way that he moves in and out, so fluid. It's a really, really a treat to watch him run, to watch him set guys up, to watch him set defenders up and make them look like, whoa, how did he get them to look that bad on that play? Sometimes you're running a total because the way that he sells it. Ladd McConkey, Ladd is a hell of a route runner.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch this year. The Chargers, per our friends at FanDuel, plus 1,600 for the Super Bowl, plus 185 to win the AFC West, and over/under on wins 9.5. So, and that's minus 125, or plus 105. Let's see, regular season, yeah, over is minus 125. The under is plus 105. I feel pretty comfortable thinking they're going to win 10 at least. To make the playoffs is minus 168, so they are favored to do that. And to be the AFC number 1 seed, to have the best record in the AFC, plus 850. I think that's a little bit tougher just because of the division. I think when you look at sort of what the Bills and what the Ravens, maybe, although the Bengals could be kind of frisky, but I think the 1 seeds, that's plus 850. I mean, I guess you could take a flyer on that. I think if I were to do that, I'd rather spend the 750 to win the AFC, take $100 less to see if they can win the AFC, plus 185 to win their division. I'll be totally honest. I spent the whole phase 2 watching offense. I just figured, you know what, I'll go watch defense next week for phase 3, and I'll just do all offense today. The players that they gave us this past week, Jake Slaughter, new center guard, wasn't really a whole lot, I think, to take from that. But, going back to Mike McDaniel's presser, when he was asked about Slaughter and about what he looks for in a guard. Again, I'd recommend going back and watching it to people that are watching or listening to us. And, we appreciate you rating and reviewing and sharing, whether it's Apple or Spotify or wherever you're getting the podcast, or here on, if it's on YouTube, leaving a comment, giving us the thumbs up, just to kind of spread the word. But it was very interesting to listen to how Mike McDaniel sort of discussed what he's looking for in a guard, the certain markers that they need to have in order to be comfortable with the player. And I think he shared perfectly kind of what his vision is and why people shouldn't be as freaked out about the guards as they have been. And last year is not this year. And this year and what they ask of their players is going to be so different from what was asked of them in years prior. And that means that players just should not be judged by their past and what they were asked to do before and what you may think of some of the names that they're trying to drop in there. So I don't want to kind of get too into the details. You could do a better job of that than I can, Lo, just about. But it is movement-based. It's getting into space and where we want you in space in order to execute the blocks properly. So you need that level of athleticism to be able to accomplish that. And then he pointed out, when you have two elite tackles, the amount of things that opens up for you is endless. He's like, you don't need to worry about keeping someone in and attaching someone to Joe Alt or attaching someone to Rashawn Slater or keeping a back in because you're worried about those edges. He's like, it just changes the calculus completely.
No, it really does. When you have guys that can get out and run in space. I remember playing with the great Willie Rofe. I mean, this guy could run in space, could do everything, could pull, do those things. And that's why San Francisco, look what they did with Trent, Trent, how fast and how athletic he is, even at 30-some years old, 37, 38 now. But, yeah, this is what Coach McDaniel, he knows that if I can get guys out, guys that can move and athletic, and still at times you got to be able to, put the big boy pads on and get downhill. He'll still go downhill and surprise teams. But, yes, he wants guys to be able to move, be able to reach guys. The old Denver Broncos back in the day when you can cut guys, they would get guys down. Guys hated it because guys were all small, 250, 260, 70 pounds, but they were athletic and they could run. And McDaniels, that's what he's he wants guys that's fast flowing that can set up, and all of a sudden you think that they're blocking, and all of a sudden they reach you. They're reach blocking you. You want guys to go out there, okay, look, boom, then we're going to get up to the next level. We're passing things off. So I think that you're going to see an offense that's going to flourish. And it's going to, do I think it's going to take long? No, I think that these guys are hungry. They wanted this thing to happen right away. They're excited about this offense, a new offense that's high scoring, a new offense that, think about every offensive player skill position, bro. You know that money. They want to score. They want to touch the ball. Yeah. You want to be known as an offense that can go and score. It's exciting. What does that do to your defense? It makes them know, hey, dude, we can go out there and light it up. They can go out there and light up the scoreboard. It makes your defense can play with a lot more comfortability and a lot more comfortable as well. So there's so many things that go into it. An offense that can be explosive as Mike McDaniel's just makes the whole team better in so many ways, especially when you already have a solid core team.
Yeah, when you talk about those reach blocks and getting out and the athleticism, he then belly that by saying, yeah, you have to have certain markers that these players must reach in order to put them out there, because you are going to have third and longs. And if they can't anchor and they can't pass block, then they can't be out there on those downs. And now you've got to replace them. And now everybody knows it's a pass down. And now it's really kind of screwed things up. He's like, so yeah, whoever our five are, they are going to have a floor that we are comfortable with if they have to sit and hold and anchor and create a pocket and give us some time to get those third and longs. He goes, but they also have to have athletic markers. They must reach those because that's what we're going to be trying to do on every play. So, and he did say that they were probably a little too picky early in his career, he said, we were probably a little too much our bucket was too small because we were so focused on the athletic traits that we ended up cutting out some of that bulk that you need, because it is a physical position and you've got to, hold your ground at times. And he's like, that's something I think he said it was the RG3 year in Washington when they figured it out. He's like, yeah, we need, this bucket's too small. We got to start looking for guys that maybe we had excluded before because of their weight, because of their size, because of their athletic performance, numbers at the combine or things like that. And he's like, yeah, and we figured that out. And he goes, and now I feel really comfortable where we're at of what we're looking for in size and athleticism and how all of that goes into what we're going to ask these guys to do. Part of blocking is also tight ends and fullbacks and running backs. And we had Charlie Kolar. It was a really fun group of guys. Chandler Henley, the coach, Charlie Kolar, Keaton Mitchell, all hit the podium or hit the lectern on Monday. Chandler's the tight ends coach, Coach Henley. And then it was the day that they signed David Njoku. So there was a lot of conversation about Njoku, and I'll just kind of, because I know you were excited about that low when they brought him in. I didn't think they were going to sign him because they let him get out of the building. And it had been a few days, but probably just working on some details. Looks like it's an $8 million a year deal, which sounds about right. And for those that maybe haven't followed a lot of Browns football or a lot of Njoku, he was a Pro Bowler in 23, 123 targets, 81 catches, 882, 6 touchdowns. His touchdowns, he's an incredible red zone player. Touchdowns last, just go. Here we go. 4, 5, 6, 4, 4. Like those are his last few years touchdowns. He makes athletic grabs. He catches the ball in traffic. He'll do the Marty Schottenheimer. I got that bowl of Doritos off your helmet, man. He's got a couple of those.
Yeah.
And I'll say this: if I'm pulling up the buses, man, he's going to make it tough to figure out. Look, Herbert's getting off first because obviously you see that guy walk off and you're like, God, we're screwed.
Yeah,
that's number one. That's number one.
I get it.
Who do I want to send off second? Do I want to send Joe Alt off? Because I kind of do. I kind of want to send off the 6'7", 340-pound guy, knowing that he's going to run your ass over for the next 60 minutes. So there's that possibility. But man, David Njoku, that's Chief.
Chisel had a black marble. I mean,
yes.
This exactly. I'll say it. I mean, the guy just like you just see. I'm like, man. I look at the guy. I'm like, wow. And he's quick to take that shirt off. He's quick to have. He warms up, showing all the abs. I'm like, man, put that shirt down. You're making me jealous, big fella. I mean, you watch this guy's arm, and he loves football, man. This guy loves football. I talked to a guy who's going to be at our golf tournament. He said he's going to talk to you about Jim Everett. He's like, man. He said he had an opportunity to talk with him and talk to the guy, and he goes, Lo, you guys gonna like that guy. I mean, I see, you could just see he likes football. He's tough. You're talking 12 personnel. Okay, now he can run, block, pass, block, do all those things. Now you got 2 tight ends. You usually have one linebacker can cover your Sam or as your Will. Now you got to have 2 linebackers on the field that can cover these guys. What are you going to do? Put safeties? Because now you got some tight ends can stretch the field. They're physical and they can get down the field.
Yeah, and look, I think there's a number of exciting things that go with this signing. One, everybody asking, what are we going to do with all this money we got? Well, this is what you're going to do with it. You're going to go out and get a guy that's got 34 career touchdowns, averages 11 yards per catch, has been a premier red zone threat, and that was something that Coach Henley said when we asked, okay, well, how does he fit in? Like what? And he wouldn't get into specifics, but he said, well, number one, I think Oronde Gadsden can reach the levels that Njoku reached. And so now I've got a vet that's going to be able to help this young man along in sort of the way that he's played the game. He's like, so I've got that, number one. Number two, he can block and he can catch. So every time he's on the field, you don't know what the hell he's doing. And that obviously helps keep the defense guessing. And three, he says the red zone, he's as big of a threat in the red zone as any player on this team. And He goes, whether or not he's the target, as soon as he steps on the field and we're in the red zone, the defenses are pointing, hey, don't pay attention now. Don't let this guy get out of your sight. He goes, and even if that he's just standing on the field, it's going to present options for our other players. Just by having him on the field is going to present those options for other players to be open, let alone him just doing what he's always done in the red zone. So I don't think they're done in free agency. I could see a corner. I could see a offensive lineman, perhaps. I mean, although it did sound like they feel pretty good about their O-line room. So I think that might be more of a training camp thing. If they feel like they're not getting enough out of, once the pads come on and they can start really evaluating the O-line, I think that would be more likely. But I could they're going to spend that money. So it's not like they're just going to sit on $45 million. We're going to probably start hearing about these extensions for Derwin and Thule pretty soon, because that's where some of that is going to go, because you're going to have to think about it for next year.
What do you think of the linebackers? I know Denzel, they re-signed him. What do you think about linebackers? Are they set? Do you feel good with the linebacker core?
Yeah, Chris O'Leary, he was also, I know I haven't mentioned him at all, because he was out there on Friday as well with McDaniel for the press conference. And he said DP was his guy. He's like, he got a big smile, and he was like, oh, DP's my man. I said, we got to bring him back. So I do think it's Perriman and Henley are your starters. To me, if he is a student of Jesse Minter. They are in a big nickel. The majority of that is basically their base defense is big nickel, and they play a lot of dime. So I don't think you're going to see a lot of two linebackers. I think you'll see some on early downs probably, and then I think as you get into those, and like Coach O'Leary said, we want to get into known passing situations and come out fire. And I think that's when you're going to start seeing, Derwin go to that dime backer role and kick it, or he kicks inside into the nickel role or something along those lines. And that's what they want to do. So I think where the linebacker room is right now, and look, the ultimate wild card is Junior. And we've talked about Junior. He's obviously been forgotten because he was a third-round pick, and he was the captain of the Michigan Wolverines national championship team. And he's, again, another one of those Njoku, first guy off the bus looking guys, chiseled and looks the part, and certainly played the part in college. It's just, busted up foot, appendectomy. It's not gone right these first 2 years. But that's the big wild card. So I think if you can get that to come around, I thought Delshon Phillips played great last year when he came on late, and Troy Dye has been great when he's been asked to fill in if Denzel's been hurt or Daion's been hurt or something along those lines. So I feel good about that room. I think that room is set. I think the one most interesting thing about that room is it gonna, what kind of opportunity is Junior going to have? Because they really like Marlowe Wax, their undrafted free agent from last year. He's a good special teamer. He played great against Denver when he was given the opportunity in Week 18. So I think that's going to be a legitimate roster spot battle between those two guys, because I do think if either of them don't make the 53, they ain't going to be stashed on the practice squad. Those guys are going to get scooped up if you try to push them through.
Right. I agree with you. And that's why I was just wondering, just kind of going through and saying, hey, yeah, they might pick up a corner. You might look at it and say, hey, look, offensive line looks pretty set now. And they're going to at least let these guys battle it out and see what they have before they make any more offensive moves as far as spending lots of money. They went out and got a tight end, and we said, okay, cool. They went out and addressed the tight end and said, look, we got to go, got a veteran guy that can stretch the field, guys great in the red zone. So now it's like, okay, is it that corner? You have a lot of money. Is it a guy that you can say, look, we can't necessarily play man-to-man. We like to play a lot of zone. We like to make things look different disguise. Do we got to go out here and spend some money on a lockdown corner that's going to give us more versatility to roll our coverage elsewhere?
Yeah, I think that's the one where I would, if there's any position that I could see, it would be that. I think they feel good about safety with drafting Genesis Smith and having R.J. Mickens and bringing back Tony Jefferson and having Elijah. I think they feel good about that room. I think they feel good about the linebacker room. Edge could be interesting. I think if there's the right edge out there, I could see that. If they're not quite sure, where's Bud Dupree at? Feels like he's kind of coming up toward the end of it here, and it's a position of explosiveness that you kind of got to have that. And as you get old, Khalil Mack is certainly a unicorn in that sense. There have been a couple guys that have been able to do it late in their careers, but you tend to lose that. And so it'd be interesting to see because there are some guys out there I think that could maybe provide a little bit of an upgrade at that spot. And then, like you just said, corner. The one thing I want to add too, though, Lo, in the tight end room is Charlie Kolar, who was, and I'll just kind of combine these two because I know we're getting a little long here. But Keaton Mitchell, Charlie Kolar, both from Baltimore, more of the Harbaugh brothers, just trading players back and forth. But I think this just sort of illustrates the front office and how they think about free agency and how they attack free agency for all of the incoming that they took over all the money they had and how they chose to spend it or how they chose not to spend it. To me, hearing from those two, from that side, not from the front office trying to spin it their direction, but this is just from the players. This is how it worked for them. Keaton Mitchell said that he basically said the Ravens did him dirty, that they never gave him a heads up, that he wasn't going to be tendered, that he was actually going back to Baltimore to probably pick up the lease on his place because he just assumed that all indications were they were gonna, and they took it all the way up to the very last second and then cut him loose. And he's like, my agent called me and I was like, wow, he's like, I was about to lease a truck because, I needed it for the snow and I'm about to re-up my lease. And then all of a sudden I'm out of work. And he talked about it quite a bit, just kind of about how, what that feels like. And then we said, and then he said, but, I knew I was wanted, man, because Chargers came and got me right away. And we were like, well, how long after it was made public that you were cut or that you weren't tendered, how long was the gap between then and when the Chargers called? And he started laughing. He goes, 20 seconds. He's like, so I knew where I was going. He's like, they immediately got on the phone with me, said, we want you. Let's get this done right now. He's like, yeah, I think I was out of a job for 20 seconds. And then
because he knew John was coming to get him. He said, did that because not John was going to say, right. I'm taking you to New York with me.
Exactly. And so they identified that. They got it done right away. And Charlie Kolar said the same thing. And we're like, how did that happen? Because, it was like right at the start of free agency. I got on this Zoom and everyone's on the Zoom and it's me and Coach Harbaugh and Joe and Mike McDaniel. And they all just gave me the hard sell of why this is the perfect place for them, how they think I can take my career to the next level. And he's like, man, I was ready to go right away as soon as that thing was. So
that's awesome.
They have their targets. They are very specific about who they want. And when they identify it, freaking Cobra Kai style, strike first, strike hard, no mercy. Let's go, freaking Tyler. You're not leaving the building. You're going to be our center. Kolar, you're not going with John to New York. You're coming with us. Keaton Mitchell, you're not going. You're coming with us. Let's go. Let's close this thing out. Let's get this deal done. And I'll tell you, Lo, with Kolar. Well, first, let me start with that. What can you remember? Like, what was your? Do you have any cut stories that really still sting a little bit? And do you have any free agent stories when they came to get you that you were like, oh, I'm wanted. I feel really good about myself.
It's interesting. My as well. You're telling that story, and I was thinking about what happened. A couple of my stories that I was happy about. So I was in New York, and my agent was Michael Kevorkian, and he changed his name to Mike George because of Dr. Kevorkian. He didn't want to be associated.
That'll do it.
And so that'd do it. I remember I was in New York, and the Big Apple, I took a bite out of it. It wasn't as sweet as I thought. The traffic, the jam, just everything. I can't handle it. And I was like, okay, we had Rich Anderson, Gerald Sewell, a couple guys. We had 3 fullbacks. We're splitting some time, having fun, though, doing it. And I just said, I got to get out of here. So my agent, I called him, we were talking, and I played the year, and we're talking. I say, hey, get me out of here. So I go into OTAs. He goes, don't act like you don't know what's going on. He said, but I got a deal done with Tampa. So you're going to go in today, go in the morning, go to OTA. You're going to go in there for off-season workout, and they're going to call you up there, but just act like you don't know what's going on. So I come in, get all dressed, go start doing my workout.
Oh, you're all excited, man. You're so excited.
I was excited, brother. Hey, I was excited. I'm like, when are they going to call me? I'm almost getting done with this workout. Are you sure this is going to happen? I got ready to go back in the phone. We had the big bat phones at the time. Like, man, is this sure this is going to happen, man? I'm working out. Somebody calling me up. And the big tuna called me up and he said, hey, okay, just want you to know, kid, hey, we got, we're going to probably go in a new direction. Just want you to know we appreciate what you did, but we traded you to Tampa. I was like, what? Me?
Come on. Real?
Come on. I'm like, come on, man. What? We got traded? I was like, I went out there skipping, hollering, high-fiving. I was like, yes.
You already had your Delta connection flight booked, man. It was already done. Where are you going after? You just got to go pack the house. It's already packed, Coach. I'm catching a flight in an hour. I got to go. Love you, though. Oh, that's great. The Charlie Kolar thing is interesting because you got a guy that was used 180 degrees differently in the NFL from how he was used at Iowa State. Iowa State, this is Charlie Kolar. His sophomore, junior, senior year. 157 catches for 13, 18, 19, about 2,040 yards and 20 touchdowns. That's his sophomore, junior, senior year at Iowa State. 2,000 yards, 157 catches, over 2,000 yards, and let me see, am I right on that? 214. Let me see. Yeah, and 20 touchdowns. And then he gets to the NFL, and he's got Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely in front of him. And here are his NFL numbers: 41 catches, 400 yards, 4 touchdowns over 4 seasons. Those are his 4 seasons in the NFL. His 4 seasons in college, including his freshman year when, he obviously was a freshman, so only had 11 grabs. But his 4 years in college, 168, 2181, and 23 touchdowns. So Charlie, who is most definitely going to be one of my favorite players to cover this year, was a really, really fun presser with him. And I don't know if you saw it, Lo, but the clip of him is really funny. He won the academic Heisman. He's a mechanical engineering major. He's a smart guy who is very self-deprecating and plays dumb. But he shared with us, he was asked about blocking and what that transition was like when he gets to Baltimore and they say, this is what our vision is for you, is you're basically going to be our blocking tight end. You and Patrick Ricard are going to be, our sort of jumbo package guys, and Mark and Isaiah are going to be our receiving tight ends. And he said, I had to change my body. I had to add about 20 pounds. And he's freaking trapped. Look, if you're Quadzilla, he's Traposaurus Rex, our guy, freaking Charlie. He's got a freaking tent neck as he's talking to us. And he said, we asked him, what that transition was like. And he started by saying, he just got married. He just got back from his honeymoon. He said, before, I can't remember what his wife's name is, Marnie, I think. He said, before he goes, I'll make this analogy. He said, before I met her, I had never tried creme brulee, and I didn't know I liked creme brulee, but now I like creme brulee. He goes, before I got to Baltimore, I was never asked to block. I didn't know if I liked blocking, but now after Baltimore, and then he said, he went through the old, it's late in the game. We're up 6. It's 3rd and 3. There's 2 minutes left. We know we're running it. They know we're running it. My wife knows we're running it. Their wives know we're running it. He goes, and you get to put that body on someone. He goes, that's better than any touchdown I've ever scored, man. And
I love it.
I figured you'd love that, Lo.
That's a great story. I don't never had creme brulee until I didn't know I liked my wife getting. Now I like it. Didn't know he didn't know he liked blocking because all he was a catching tight end in college, and all of a sudden, man, I like it. But he's absolutely right. I'm telling you, the kid's made right. When you make a statement, you say, it's 2 minutes left in the game. It's 3rd and 2. Everybody and their mama know you're getting ready to run the ball. You're in 4 minutes. You're running the clock out. And you know what? Hey, diddle, we're coming right up the middle. And who's going to have the big boy collars on? That's him. He said, I love it. I love laying on guys at that particular time. That's an attitude. I can play with that guy. Love it.
Yeah. And again, I think that he's been shortchanged. You can't put up those numbers in college. I know it's the Big 12. It's not the SEC, but, in the Big 12 is a little bit more of a, kind of air it out, pass happy type conference. But at the same time, 2181, 23 touchdowns. And his freshman year was just 11 for 137. So 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns on 150 plus catches. In
20 seconds. He was free agent for 20 seconds. What does that tell you? Do you think the Chargers didn't know? Oh, Baltimore wasn't using him right. Who's the GM here with the Chargers? Exactly. Yeah. They're like, here's a guy who was totally underutilized because you had Mark Andrews, had 2 tight ends. He wasn't, but this guy is a catching machine. Oh, he's going to flourish here.
Yeah, I mean, that's with Njoku now. That's a real interesting tight end room, and by interesting, I mean if I'm just kind of going through it, if I highlight NFL and let me think, if I'm looking at it, I mean you got Sadiq and Taylor and with the Jets, but they're young. Who knows what they're going to look like? I mean, obviously I guess the Bears. That's a pretty special one there with Loveland and Kmet, and they just drafted Sam Roush, who we loved out of Stanford. That's a real interesting one. The Rams got the 49ers, with Kittle leading the way. But I just think in terms of if you're going 3 deep, I don't know, man. I don't know if there's better tight end room than what Kolar can do blocking, what Njoku can do as an all-around tight end, and what Gadsden can do as a pass catcher with all that athleticism. It's just like they've got everything. They've got every need filled perfectly.
No, they do. With you just alluded to, you got guys can block, you got guys can run, you got guys that was forced to block, that didn't know he was going to love blocking, but can run and can catch and is a great passing receiver. And then you got the Joker who's friggin' big, physical, down in the red zone, can catch ball. You're as a defense, you're going to be like, who are we covering? What do we roll our coverage to? And you talked about it with the offensive coordinator McDaniel's said, shoot, just having him in there on goal line in the red zone, he's going to demand attention. So other guys are going to be able to create mismatches. Other guys are going to be coming open. So I really believe this Chargers tight end room or just the tight end talent that you have. Because, oh, by the way, think about who you drafted Gadsden last year, who's got good hands, can get out, run good routes. He's still a little light, but it's still a great pass-catching tight end. Not great, but can be great. So you got some depth in that tight end room, and you got some guys that can make it tough on some defenders.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be, like I said, it's an offensive-heavy conversation today just because that's sort of what it felt like most of the stuff at least the stuff that I was at. That's what was happening. I just decided to focus there, and, that's where the pressers were. So next week, try to get you some defense. Next week, we'll focus in on the schedule. Schedule releases tomorrow from when we're doing this. So we'll have all that squared away. And you know how we like to dig into it. Who's on the road, who's coming off back-to-back road trips, who's got the extra day or half day of rest, and who's coming off an international trip. I mean, that's the funny thing is you look at I saw Adam Schefter as we kind of wrap this up. I don't know where my phone is. It's in my pocket. I saw Schefter posted the air miles. And last year, Chargers were won by a mile, pardon the pun, by a mile, because we went to Brazil. And, that obviously added to what already was all those trips to the East Coast as well. But this year, we don't have an international trip. And yet I think we're still third.
Wow.
Still third in the league. The 49ers and the Rams are going to Australia. You got 9, I think, international games. And yet I think we're still third or fourth. We're far and away the first team that doesn't have an international game that has the most mileage. So just never. And this is a good year. This is the NFC West year. So we play the Rams as an away game. We play the Seahawks as an away game. And yet we still got those Baltimore, Miami, Buffalo, like all those are still in there, man, dragging you across. So we'll see how it lays out. If we get a home game to start things out and get all these people excited to pack into SoFi and watch this Mike McDaniel offense straight out the gate, or wouldn't surprise me. Man, I'm going to call my shot. Even though SoFi is going to be empty because the Rams are in Australia, I think the Chargers are going to start with 2 road games because Stan Kroenke is petty, and he would not want the Chargers opening the season at SoFi when it's a Super Bowl year and all of the, and here's Jim Nantz and Tony Romo, or, here's Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady talking about, here we are with the Chargers and SoFi Stadium. Could this be the team that's got a home Super Bowl? Kroenke he can't stomach the idea.
He can't. He has told me that.
And, and that means that they're going to be in Australia, and then they're going to open the season week 2 at SoFi so they can get, here we are with the Rams and Matthew Stafford MVP, and could they be the SoFi representative in the Super Bowl? So my guess is we're going to open road is how this thing's going to go. Yeah, I feel like that organization is like that. That's why they took the 49ers and asked for the 49ers to go, because they hate seeing all that red at SoFi when they come down here to play. It sticks in their craw. And I think had we made a run to the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl, they absolutely would have taken us, because they could not fathom the idea that they would have a lot of Charger fans in there for a Ram home game. It would absolutely gut them. So that's again, could be proven wrong. I hope I am. I'd like to open at home, but to me, it just feels like I spent $6 billion on this temple for you guys of my own money. You're going to do what I say. That's the way this thing works. So there you go. There's my prediction. We start on, which, you know what? For me, we had it last year. I kind of like it. I like home games late, when you're kind of dealing with a little bit more injuries. I mean, you tell me, Lo, to me, it feels like you'd rather have that when you're banged up and you don't have to get on a plane, you don't have to sleep in a hotel room. That I feel like the players would rather have games
especially
on the
when
road
everything's
early than late.
absolutely, especially when everything's tight. Excuse me. Especially when everything's tight. When you're looking at the schedule and you think about, okay, we're fighting for our playoff hopes. I want to be home. I want to be home where I can play for for our fans and families and loved ones. You absolutely love to have more home games at the end of the year. Yeah, it's a suck traveling early. God, when we coming home, but I'm telling you, it's great. It does a team, especially that's on the bubble. And this Charger team is going to have some. It's going to be a tough. They're going to get in, but it's going to be tough. So yeah, give me the home games. Give me the home games later in the year.
So we'll see. Are we going to Baltimore? I don't think we're going to open the season in Seattle. I think they're going to do I would imagine they're going to do the Bears game. Even though Seattle won the Super Bowl, they're kind of, they're not the 49ers. They're not the Bears. They're not the Packers. They're not the Giants. Seahawks are a Pacific Northwest team that doesn't necessarily have the biggest national draw. So I think pairing them up with another West Coast team to kick off the season, that doesn't line up. So and obviously it's not going to be the Rams. So that's not going to happen. The Bills have already kind of announced that they're open in their new stadium in week 2, Thursday Night Football against the Lions. Not going to be the Bills. We know that Kansas City and Denver are playing Monday night to kick off the year. So that eliminates them, which leaves Tampa, Miami, Raiders, and Ravens. To me,
give me the Bears. The Bears, because
not the Bears, the Ravens.
No, but you're saying with the Chargers, who they're going to play the Chargers Monday?
Yeah, opening week. I think it's going to be the Ravens, the Raiders, the Dolphins, or the Buccaneers. It's gonna because those are the road games. I think it's going to be a road game.
If it is, it's going to be the Raiders.
Right. Oh, you think the Raiders? I was thinking the Ravens.
Yeah, but Harbaugh's gone, so
But Jesse Minter's their coach. Our former DC is now their head coach.
True. Yeah, it's Ravens. It's Ravens or Raiders. Either those two.
I think that lines because you would have the AFC West playing each other in the opening week. Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders. That to me would make some sense.
Especially the Raiders have done a lot too. Everyone's high on them. Their draft. Everyone talks about their draft. The quarterback. I think it behooves the Raiders not to start this guy. You have a veteran quarterback that's a good, clip holder for a couple weeks. Week 5, week 6, you bring Mendoza in. What say you? You think they go with the young kid first?
To me, I just think it lines up that way, right? Because that's what Tom Brady did. He sat and he watched, Drew Bledsoe, and he's always talked about how much that benefited him and how he feels like these young. He says it all the time. Like he's always like these guys are pushed into something that I think they're better. If you have an option to sit and learn, he talks about how valuable that was for him to kind of sit behind Drew and talk to Drew during the week about what's going on and trying to figure this thing out. So that.
And Cousins is a smart guy. Smart guy, football wise.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I know you want to win games. I get it. But when you're in a division with the Broncos that had the best record in the AFC last year, with the Chiefs that have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and with the Chargers who have back-to-back 11-win seasons and Justin Herbert, to me, what are you going to rush for? I whatever you may think you're ready to be this year, I'd be totally fine. And look, I think they'll do what if the kids, if Fernando Mendoza's ready, they're going to play him. Like if they're like, he's our best option. He's better than Kirk Cousins right now. He's a smart guy. He's not a young guy. He's a 4-year starter. Let's go. I think that's certainly a possibility. But I think everything that Tom Brady has ever said publicly has suggested that there is value in letting these guys sit. But then, you look at Joe Burrow, his rookie year. You look at Lamar Jackson, his rookie year, and sat, and then they bring him in, and all of a sudden Baltimore comes alive when they finally bring him in. Justin Herbert came in week 2, and lit it up his rookie year. So I think it just probably depends. Because you can make that connection. I think Kirk Cousins is a much better quarterback than Tyrod Taylor was. who was in front of Herbert. But at the same time, it was a veteran that you're like, yeah, you got a really good defense. You got a quarterback to take care of the football. They had just won in Cincinnati 10-7, and then Herbert gets thrown in there because of, a medical issue, and bang, he's off and running. So, all right, so go on, pick it, Lo. If we think it's going to be, or you may think that I'm just being a jerk because I got something against the Rams. I don't know if I do. Maybe I do. I don't know. But
hey, I have something against the Rams too. But that's interesting. But Conky, you're right. He's not going to let them boys. He's not going to let the Chargers come in and play at the home before us. They just.
It just feels like that's his style, man. If they do play at home, the options would be Patriots, Jets, Raiders, Texans, Cardinals. Obviously the Patriots would be a big one. Two of the top teams in the AFC. That'd be a pretty cool way to kick off the year. Yeah. Texans, obviously they've had the Chargers number these last few years. Two teams that are also favorites in the AFC, and then you could have the Raiders at home. Jets, Cardinals are kind of but Pickett, what do you think? Road home?
Give me the Patriots and Chargers. I mean, look at those two teams. Yeah, it's just you have two teams that have a long history that the Patriots have usually won. Yeah, and it's two teams that have been in the playoffs. They're young quarterbacks. Their faces. So I think that's a good TV, and that's added that all those teams you listed. That would be good for TV, and it would be a national televised game.
Yeah, I could see if I'm going to call my shot, I'm going to say very similar to what we had last year, where we took the long roadie to start the season against the Chiefs in Brazil, and then we had back-to-back road games technically, but the next one was in Vegas against the Raiders. So it was a short road trip. So I think if I'm going to call my shot, I think it's going to be Ravens, and then maybe we're the team that's playing at SoFi on Sunday against the Rams as they open their stadium. Perhaps week 2 against the Rams, technically a road game, but now you've got both teams that play. That would be interesting.
Wow! Look,
you know what? There you go.
You're going deep down this rabbit hole, man. You got me mind blown right there. I'm like, whoa! What twist is he coming up? The media did. What? Chargers in Rams week 2. Now they get to toot the Rams horn, but they're playing Chargers and give the Rams the home game.
Exactly.
So there we go. You're not bad. You're
call my shot.
Put it together.
Of course, it'll be home, and everything I just said will be wrong.
Right. Yeah.
To me, that lines up. Rams get to open it up. They get to open it up as the home team. Like, hey, the Raiders or the Chargers are on the road. It's all painted with Rams colors at SoFi Stadium. It really kind of rubs your face in it a little bit. So, to me, that just lines up. On the road, Ravens. Next week, on the road, Rams. And that's my prediction for the first 2 weeks.
Well, I tell you what, we will see. I do believe they're going to be on the road, though. Like you said, the Rams are they won't let the Chargers come to the home. We played before them, and it doesn't seem right either. So I don't think it happens.
All right, it's going to do it for us. Again, subscribe, rate, like, repost, comment, all of it. We love it all. We appreciate you all. Big thank you to our friends at FanDuel. And like we said before, it keeps leaking out. Justin Herbert plus 1,100 for MVP. The Chargers right now, some futures we mentioned, plus 1,600 to win the Super Bowl, plus 185 to win the AFC West, plus 750 to win the AFC. So that's kind of what we got going. Big thank you to them. Lo will be back again next week. We'll know exactly where, when, and all of that. And I'm still waiting for you to get that graphic to Lindsay so she can post it on the screen. So
I gave it to Lindsay. Lindsay knows I've given it to her. Lindsay, you're slacking on your job, woman. Where you at?
Well, maybe she'll post it right here. So maybe she'll post it here at the end, but sign up for Lowe's golf tournament. I'm going to be up there. Lowe's going to be up there. A host of former players. It's going to be a heck of a time.
Ricky Waters just committed yesterday. Got Ricky Waters. Yes, Rick's coming. So it's going to be a good time. Jim Everett actually is coming. Big Jim, old man Jim. He's coming out to hang out. So it's going to be good. Got Jim Skipper, Kelly Skipper, all the skippers. So we're going to have a great time.
Yeah, it's going to be a party. I've been talking to some of my buddies, too. I know that you've been in touch with. They're excited about it as well. So we're going to get this whole thing going, man. Fresno in June. That's what I love.
Absolutely. The weather's going to be great. Guaranteed. Oh, yeah. It will not be cold. Do not bring your sweater money for sure.
No. I'm planning on losing about 20 pounds of water weight while I'm out there playing those 18 holes low. All right. We'll be back next week. We appreciate y'all. Thanks so much for supporting, and bolt up.
Bolt up.